If you've paid attention to fitness advice over the last few years, you've probably heard of the holy grail of training, body recomposition, or maingaining. It is the promise that you can build muscle mass and burn away body fat at the exact same time. On paper, it sounds flawless. Staying right at maintenance calories avoids the process of intentionally gaining fat, only to force yourself into a grueling diet to cut it off later. But there is a biological catch. This dual process is largely restricted to the untrained body. If you're brand new to lifting, coming back from a multi-year break, or carrying significant excess weight, your physiology is uniquely primed to pull this off. Because your system has never experienced the severe stress of moving heavy weights, it treats a workout as an outright emergency. It will aggressively divert resources to force muscle adaptation, even if your diet isn't perfectly dialed in. That rapid initial transformation creates an illusion. It suggests that simultaneous fat loss and muscle gain is a sustainable, long-term strategy for the rest of your fitness journey. Fast forward 12 months, and that initial hyper-response disappears. You transition from a beginner to an intermediate lifter. You hit the gym consistently, you hit your protein goals, and eat exactly at maintenance. Yet you look in the mirror a year later and realize your physique hasn't changed at all. You are officially stuck in the Recomp Plateau. You've hit an energetic wall. Your body has fully adapted to the routine stress of the gym. Moving heavy iron is no longer a biological crisis, so your system stops executing those resource-heavy emergency adaptations. We can see exactly how this looks on an adaptation curve. This chart maps muscle growth over time. Notice how this steep upward trajectory of beginner gains abruptly flattens into a horizontal line right at the 12-month mark. At this intermediate plateau, maintenance calories are mathematically insufficient to drive new growth. The routines and maintenance diets that successfully built your foundation are now the exact biological limitations preventing your body from growing any further. From a strict biological perspective, muscle is an extremely expensive tissue to build. It demands massive amounts of energy just to exist. When an adapted body sits at maintenance calories, its primary directive is survival and energy conservation. It refuses to allocate scarce resources to fund the construction of costly, energy-burning muscle mass. To get past this biological blockade, you have to override your system's conservation protocols. You need to force your body into a dedicated anabolic environment, a state optimized strictly for growth. The mechanism to do this is called the lean bulk. This is a highly controlled, strategic caloric investment. To facilitate the creation of real tissue, you must send an undeniable signal to your physiology that energy resources are abundant enough to justify the metabolic cost of building muscle. The math behind this signal is simple. You take your daily maintenance calories and add exactly 10%. At a standard caloric baseline, a lifter maintaining weight at 2,500 calories adds 10%, reaching exactly 2,750 total calories. This surplus yields a targeted, safe rate of expansion, tracking out to 1/4 to 1/2 pound of weight gain per week. With that minor surplus, the physical benefits hit immediately. Gym performance skyrockets, recovery times drop, and your overall strength steadily increases. But the real payoff happens away from the gym floor. To understand what those extra calories buy, we have to shrink down to the microscopic level. This diagram shows a cross-section of a single muscle fiber. Driven by the surplus, the physical architecture expands in diameter as brand new biological components are permanently embedded into its cellular walls. These embedded dots are called myonuclei. They act as the vital biological command centers responsible for directing and sustaining all new tissue growth. The lean bulk permanently upgrades the cellular architecture of your muscular system, creating structural changes that persist far beyond the duration of the bulk itself. For an intermediate lifter, committing to this process triggers a deep anxiety, the paralyzing fear that entering a surplus means waving goodbye to your visible abs. Gaining some fat is a necessary trade-off, a biological tax required to fund the construction of those new myonuclei. Which brings us to the second half of the transformation strategy, the cut. After building your new baseline, you deliberately shift your diet back into a caloric deficit. This phase relies on a specific biological mechanism. While a caloric deficit starves off the excess fat layer for energy, it leaves the newly acquired myonuclei intact. Looking back at our muscle fiber diagram, watch how the restriction in calories strips away that thick outer layer of fat. The brightly colored myonuclei, your cellular command centers, remain securely locked inside the healthy tissue. This cellular retention is the true science behind muscle memory. Because the myonuclei never leave, your previously built muscle is incredibly easy to maintain, even while you restrict calories to burn away the fat. If you want to finally break through the Recomp Plateau and reshape your physique, you have to stop fearing the scale. Commit to the temporary surplus your body desperately needs to grow, and strategically cut the fat later to reveal the permanent results underneath.